I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what. We make crazy sacrifices for you beautiful people. It is 4:36 in the morning. And Sori is literally melting into a puddle of tears.
Yeah.
She's not really used to this 4 or 5 hour sleep thing that happens. So
no, it's not going well for me. I just want to go to bed. I've literally cried already. What, 3 times?
3 times she's cried because she's tired. But we do it for you guys. We tell you we're going to release 2. We have all these technical difficulties, but damn it, we're going to release 2.
I'm like, I'm the one that came up with the underground idea. Why did I do this to myself?
Yeah. But we are going to be, by the way, the hashtag for Negral or Nergal, oh my goodness, is Visit the Village. Hashtag Visit the Village. Very important. Shout out to the big homie Nergal. We are going to be doing another Behemoth review very soon. I think it's called Ora Pro Nobis. So there you go. That's a Latin phrase. Go look it up. I'm very familiar with that phrase, so it should be an interesting listen. Okay, so let's get to it before this one kills me in my sleep. This is Meshuggah. A lot of people have been asking for Meshuggah, so I'm very, very interested in this. And when I was doing the Fear Factory joint, when I was like rocking, they're like, "You wait till you see Meshuggah."
Oh, so this is not gonna put me to sleep. It's gonna keep me awake.
This is, I think this is metal. I think this is like some pure metal. We haven't had some pure metal in a while because we're listening to Country Alica.
Okay, let's go.
Well, hold on. Do you know what Meshuggah means?
No.
I think it's Yiddish for like crazy. Like I have, remember Natalie? She'll Meshuggah. It means it like you're crazy. I think that's what it means. So I don't know. Are these guys Jewish? Is it like a Jewish band? That'd be cool, like a Jewish rock band. You don't really care. You want okay. All right. So this is Meshuggah.
Heavy right from the start.
This is Bleed, by the way. Tired your lungs.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That's all you're doing. What?
It's just an interesting turn of events.
Is that the song?
Sounds like it's going somewhere and then it stops.
What, the solo?
Yeah, like the music.
Just listen to that. What the hell? Okay, so that was Bleed by Crazy People.
Oh, I forgot what the name of the song was, but
Bleed.
that is a fitting title.
The crazy band. I think these guys are Jewish. Because Meshuggah, it's a Yiddish term. Okay, what'd you think of the song?
I actually liked it. I liked do they call that screaming? I mean, I like what the guy sounded like when he was yelling like that. It was very aggressive sounding. I liked it. Fitting for tonight.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, like at the end. So the music was real. See, this one, I feel like I'm like, okay, I would have to listen to this song like 3 times, and I think I would love it.
Oh, you didn't like it right off the bat?
Well, I knew what they were doing. They were doing all these. So they had one basic riff that they were doing pretty much for the whole song. It was just like this one, usually you get a break, but this one was pretty much it's just a straight. It's a pretty hard thing to play for 7 minutes straight. But there were some pretty significant like rhythm changes that were cool. And it would take a while for my brain to process to get the flow, because metal, it's like a wave, like when you're surfing. So you gotta like know when to catch the wave to rock. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. I feel like the only one that I ever like feel like I catch, and I don't even know if I catch it actually, but I feel like I am, is like the Tool songs. I always feel like I can find that like feel and just like woo.
Yeah, but Tool isn't about like Tool's not. Yeah, no, you get it, but I think Tool is more esoteric and metaphysical than regular rock music. So like when you're getting it from someplace else.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about just regular metal. Like
I feel like I never can get on the right.
Well, like
metal. I like it, but
the Fear Factory one was very, very simple. And so you knew like dun 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 dun. But this one was like and it was like you were going the whole time and like ugh. And it was crazy because you remember like I was like, oh okay, like the song stopped. I was like, is it done? What's happening?
Yeah.
And then literally the next second, bang!
Yeah, it was right back at you. I was like, oh okay, yeah.
So what did you like what was your favorite part of the song?
I liked the way that it changed, and I liked how, like what we just said, where it kind of lulled off, and then you were kind of like, well, wait, what's happening here? And then all of a sudden it went right back in, but it didn't slowly rise. It was like, ooh, and there was like, bang, and it went right back into it. I liked that. So,
on a completely random note at 5 o'clock in the morning, or 4:48 a.m., a sneering grin, the voice of my Reaper. So, I'm listening to Joe Rogan, and there's this strange phenomena of when these people take DMT, they go up into the universe or whatever, and they meet all these beings. Well, one of the beings that these people continuously meet over and over again is this sort of jester creature.
Yes. Yep.
And he's evil. Usually he's evil. And so it's like a sneering grin, the voice of my Reaper. Like, obviously this guy's dying and chanting softly the song of my depletion. That's a pretty cool way of saying you're dying. Yeah. Here it says chanting softly the song of depletion. Yep. So this guy is dying, and here's this kind of what I pictured in my head was like, you know how when you think about the Grim Reaper, it's like the guy with the hoodie. But this one's chanting softly. Like, what if it was like a jester type character? Ugh, that's creepy. That was like chanting softly. That's really creepy. He says my Reaper too. I thought that part was like, ugh, he's yours. Oh, you know, people usually say, "Oh, the Grim Reaper, the Grim Reaper." Yeah, Grim Reaper. So he's like everybody's, but this guy's like my Reaper. Yikes! Ooh. Yikes! Yeah. So, but that would be really like if you were like going through some horrible situation and you were dying, because he talks about bleeding out. We'll talk about that in a second. Like, and you were dying. And then, like, you looked and you were able to see into the next dimension, and you saw this, like, jester dude coming at you, like that? Softly. I'd be so scared. You'd be like, well, probably should have listened to Vin and Sori about that whole God thing. Too soon. I mean, good night. That would suck. That would be really, really scary. Okay, so what do you think is going on in this song, though? Like, lyrically, what are you feeling?
Sounds like a lot of times, the whole beginning, you just...
Are you drinking a Red
Yes,
Bull?
I'm drinking a Red Bull. I'm never going to make it to the end of all this.
You were ridiculous.
I still have to edit. It just seemed like he said in a bunch of different ways, like, he was bleeding out.
Beams of fire sweep through my head. So it looks like he's having like a sensory, like crimson liquid. It seems like he's having an aneurysm.
Oh.
There's beams of fire sweep through my head. Thrust of pain. I used to have these migraines when I was a kid, and they were horrible. And I used to think that I was dying. Like,
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, it was so bad. I was like, there's no way. I was like 5. I thought to myself, there's no way a human being can feel this in their head and like come out on the other side alive. Yeah, I thought I was dying. It was terrible.
Whoa.
Well, part of it was so painful that I pretty much wanted out. I could nothing. My mom would give me nothing would help. She was a registered nurse. She had access to some really good stuff, and nothing would help. I was like, I am done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. My crimson liquid. So, what was the highlight? Was there anything lyrically that stood out for you at all?
Not really, because I'm very tired. Okay. I liked the song though. Usually what I do when the song progresses, I rate it as it starts. Everything starts out as like a 0. Some of them like start out with a bang and it kind of jumps them up. This one made its way up to an 8.
Really?
Yep.
So like earlier we did Man in the Box.
Yep.
And I said that the music behind it wasn't really driving anything, but Lane's voice was just so Jesus. You know, Lane's voice was so crazy that, you know, it pretty much carried the song. I feel like this is like the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I felt like the vocalist was just like a 1 in a million, you know, I mean not 1 in a million, but a dime a dozen type vocalist.
Yeah,
And
maybe. I just liked it. I liked the sound of his voice. I liked the way that he was yelling and all. I liked all that. That's actually what pushed him up to an 8 for me.
You know who my favorite vocalist right now is?
Who?
Well, I said it earlier. Were you paying attention to me while you were setting all this stuff up?
Maynard. No,
No.
You said it. I can't remember who it was, but I do remember you saying it.
It was a dude from Behemoth. He has
right.
the most distinct
Yep.
voice. This is terrible. This is terrible. Okay. Like I shouldn't like this guy, but I love him. I think he's great. Okay. So I felt like that the guitars were carrying this song. I felt like the metal was carrying this song, and that the vocalists really, like, you could have mixed and matched.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Like, whereas it with the other what's the band? I think the morning's getting to me too. What's the band? Alice in Chains. I felt like Lane was carrying it, and that the music in the background was like dime a dozen. Like there's no signature,
Yep.
you know. But this one, it seems flipped because it was like, yeah. But the metal was just like completely unique to me. Like I've never heard anything like that, and that solo was so weird.
Was that the part where I said I feel like it's going somewhere? And then
Yeah.
And you were like, "Ugh," and then all of a sudden it was like that.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening?
Yeah, you had that rhythm section going, and the solo was like, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm gonna be weird. Usually, a lot of times they'll start out slow, and then they'll go wow, wow. They'll do a little scream, and then they'll trill with wow. But like it was just staying there. Like I refuse to go anywhere. Like I'm gonna stay here and be weird. It was like the kid in school, you know, that with the glasses, and he's kind of chunky, and he smells a little bit, and like you're trying to talk to him, and he won't talk to you. Like that's what that solo was like. It was just by himself, just weird, and you felt like he was gonna do something. Like that's what I felt like. That's what I saw when I heard that solo. That was the Lord. Okay, so nothing in the lyrics stood out to you?
There was stuff, but I'm telling you, I'm so tired. I can't even remember what it was. Just start going over it, and I'll remember as it comes
The
on.
way that he describes bleeding, and the name of the song is Bleeding.
Yeah.
Right? My crimson liquid so frantically spilled, the ruby fluid of life. That's crazy. That's a good way to describe. But then it says, ripples ascend to the surface of my eyes.
That part I didn't understand.
They're red pens drawing at random at will. Well, he's bleeding out of his eyes. Because I think he had an aneurysm.
Oh my gosh.
So like, that's, you know what I mean? Like he...
That's true, because that's what happens.
Really? Literally?
Yeah.
You bleed out. What is an aneurysm anyway?
I think it's a blood clot in your brain. I'm not really
when
sure.
It pops?
No, I don't know. I really don't know.
Weren't you in the medical field?
Not like that. I almost said no. It's not like that.
Idiot. You almost called me an idiot, didn't you? Now the truth comes out. You really know a person when they're tired. All the sweet sorriness that you guys have been deceived of. You see what I go through.
Just let me sleep.
Now you see what I go through, people. Okay, so yeah, that's a terrible, what a terrible way to go, huh? Like, yikes.
You know what? I think it's terrible to go that way, but it's terrible for the people that see you go that way. I mean, can you imagine if I had a brain aneurysm bleeding out of my eyes and stuff like that, and that's the last thing you see
Why
of
would
me?
you say something like that?
Well, that's the topic.
Why would you bring something like that
I
up?
mean, are we talking about that? That's what we're talking about.
No, we're good. We just got our own set up, and now you're talking about having a fucking aneurysm.
You should let me sleep then.
All right, let's go. No, touch me.
This part I thought was interesting. The regurgitation of my micro nemesis. Isn't a nemesis like an enemy?
Yeah.
So, the regurgitation of my micro nemesis.
Salivating right at the prospect of my ruin.
I didn't understand what it meant, but I just thought it sounded very interesting.
Well, like the clot that was swimming around in his head was his nemesis the entire time.
Yeah, but
And
the
then
regurgitation.
It finally got the best of him.
Right.
Salivating red, more bleeding. This guy, like he
explains the bleeding, like the bleeding itself is
right.
Wow,
like
that's crazy.
He takes the blood and he uses it in different ways, and I think that's super talented. I'm very disappointed that his voice was just so generic, because lyrically,
but did you like it?
He's a bad man. This guy right here, huh?
Did you like
his vocal?
The way he was?
Not at all.
You didn't want him yelling?
Not at all. I don't know. Maybe if I listen to the song like for the sixth time, because this is the type of band you have to listen to about 6 times to get the beauty of one song. Maybe I would like it. Maybe I would like his vocals, but lyrically, this dude he's a bad man, because he keeps talking about blood in all these different ways. Salivating red.
Yeah.
Ruby. He talks about my life for, like, it's just crazy ways to talk about bleeding. Whereas, like, most of the people, like, I'm bleeding out! Blood from my eyes! Like, that's really, really good. This is so interesting. The implement, the device of my extinction, the terminating clockwork of my gleeful bane. Yikes. Because think about it, like, if you go to the doctor, right? And he says, you're going to have some really very vivid dreams. And the doctor says, hey, you've got this aneurysm floating, you've got this clot floating around in your noggin, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, there's like a clock going all the time, because at any point, if that thing pops, you're done. You feel me?
Yeah.
So there's like a clock all the time.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Isn't that crazy? So the terminating clockwork of my gleeful bane. So he's kind of like, your bane is somebody who's like against you all the time and like your enemy, and like, but he's like, a bane is like your active enemy. You know what I mean? Like you have,
really?
Yeah, like you have some people that are like, but the bane of your existence is like, this is person's like actively acting. So the terminating clockwork of my gleeful bane. So it's he's personifying this clot as a person who's in him, who's like
salivating.
It's just a matter of time, type of thing, and he's happy. And then when he's dying, it's almost like the clot then materializes into this jester who's calling him to death.
Oh my gosh,
you know what I mean?
So weird.
I mean, think about it, because then he sees, right, his a snaring grin.
My will.
Right.
Bleed, it says, bleed you will.
Right.
That's crazy.
But it's crazy because think about, Jonathan Edwards talked about this, where human beings think they're so big and bad that you're a badass. And Edwards says a spider can dispatch you into the eternal state.
Right.
Right? And of course now we've got modern medicine, but then here you are, let's say you're like a 6'3" guy, blah, big and strong, and like a little clot.
Yeah.
This size can command you to bleed, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's just crazy to me. Mm-hmm. Like, wow. Falling into the clarity of undoing. Scornful gods haggle for my soul. A totally below Shaitana regime. Yikes. So, like, the clarity of undoing. That's a crazy line. What did you think of that line? I think lyrically this guy is super gifted.
Well, I just thought that meant that, like, have you ever been in a car accident?
Yes.
Okay, when the vehicle hits you and like it feels like everything just like slows
down.
right down,
Yeah.
and you're like, I mean, it doesn't make you think, oh, I should buckle my seatbelt. Like, I don't know what happens in the brain, but everything feels like it's slowing down. So I feel like falling into the clarity of undoing, like as it's his undoing, and he's like, all of a sudden everything's becoming very clear to him. Like, I'm on my way out. Everything's, you know what I mean? Like, even though a brain aneurysm happens extremely fast, and you're probably dead before you know it. But then at the same time, maybe not. Maybe you have those moments of like everything slows down.
Time slows you. I mean,
because a car accident is very fast. By the time they hit you, and it's seconds.
I was in a very, very crazy, traumatic, horrible. You should have been dead.
Right.
Very, and that's a crazy story. I'll probably tell it. Somebody reached out to me and said, what led you to your faith and all that, and I thought it was a pretty brave thing to do, because it's like, hey, I don't want to, but he, and I wanted to take the time and really like sit and talk with him. So I'm going to share that story with him, but anyway, yeah, there was this crazy accident, and it happened in like 0.2 seconds or whatever. But like to this very moment, I can still see it in slow motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, who knows what's happening in that moment, you know what I mean?
But I always felt that, like, God does that on purpose.
Uh-huh. Why?
Just have those moments to think a little bit before entering the eternal state. I don't know. I don't know if it actually happens. I've never been near death. I've only been in a car accident.
Yeah.
But
in intertestamental Judaism, a quick death, like a sudden death, was seen as like this big curse, because you didn't have time to prepare yourself. Whereas like if you were like dying on your deathbed and going through the death rattle and all that, like this was a blessing, because you could make yourself right with God. You could apologize to everybody that you're hurt and all that. But like a quick aneurysm type death, they'd be like, yo, you
you did
you
something.
doing some dirt and God, whatever. But like, yeah, the clarity of undoing, that's crazy, because like as long as you're alive and you feel like you're gonna have tomorrow, there's a whole bunch of bullshit that you can project
absolutely.
And do, and how you are with people and all that, and like and then you kind of fall victim to your own pretenses and bullshit. So you like begin to think that all your pretenses are real. You pretend that you're this type of person or that type of person because this group wants you to be this way and that and that. But when you're dying and you're dying, boop, like your real, who you really are comes out. Who the people that matter to you come out.
Yep.
So like the clarity of undoing is a crazy line, because like when you're being undone and when you're finally like being unraveled, then it's time for you to be okay. And then. Not to even to mention the spiritual ramifications of shit. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, if we're wrong about this stuff, which I don't believe that we are at all, and, we can talk about this in the podcast about how can you have certainty or whatever, but, like, if this is happening, like, and you're dead, that's it. There will be no surprise. Because I won't be around enough to know that nothing happened, right? But if I like really walked around believing that I was like an atheist or whatever, or I'm not dissing any atheists. I'm just saying, like, do a thought experiment and think, what the hell would happen like if you were dying and then like what this guy says, scornful gods are haggling for your soul, and a guy shows up to you in a sneering grin, like that would be
mind's
like
eye
traumatic.
flickers and what?
And vacillates as I
What's
let
that
go.
mean,
You're going back and forth between trying to hold on to life and then just quitting. But anyway, what'd you score it?
I gave it an 8.
I gave it an 8. I gave it a... So I'll give that an 8 because lyrically, when I actually got to sit and look at the lyrics, this is one of the most deep and put together lyrics I've seen in a while. And The musicianship was crazy, and I think that if I listen to it again, I'll be able to ride the waves. This could have been actually, I'm going to give it a 7.5. The lyrics, the delivery, the vocals are just too generic for me. It's a 7.5 for me.
Okay, 8 for me.
8 for you. All right, y'all. We love you guys. That's clear. That is obvious. So Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.